A couple minutes. Ladies and gentlemen, the time being 1 o'clock, I'd like to now open the Litchfield School District deliberative session. I'd like to welcome you to the school deliberative session today. My name is Frank Byron. I'm the school district moderator, and I will be presiding at today's meeting. I live at 8 Mallard Court in Litchfield with my wife, Patricia. And before we begin the meeting, I'd like to ask you all to rise and please say with me the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Please be seated. Before we commence today's meeting, there's a couple administrative details I'd like to get out of the way first. Number one, we all know that there's a COVID pandemic going on. So I'd ask for those members in the audience to please, if you can, separate as much as you can to maintain segregation and watch for the other neighbors of you in terms of trying to keep a safe distance. State law prohibits the smoking anywhere on school grounds. Please do not light up. Restrooms are located out in the hallway to the left. If you need to use them, please do so. Emergency exits. Please, if there is an emergency, exit the way you came into the building. If you're unable to use that exit, there's a back door in the left, in the corner over here on your side. There's also, you could exit through the cafeteria if you needed to do so. Unfortunately, food and drinks are not allowed in the auditorium, although special consideration has been given to us up here on the stage who have to talk more than we really want to or need to. And I would ask you, if you have a cell phone, please put it on vibrate or put it on mute so you don't disturb that of your neighbor. We appreciate that. Only those who are authorized to vote in today's meeting may sit in the center sections over here. We've reserved a section on your left-hand side for those who may not, who are voters but are not able to or do not want to wear a face mask. The section on your right-hand side over here are for non-voters who are here to observe. So I'd ask to make sure that you're in the right section. Before we begin, one of the things you're going to hear today is a lot of information on the various warrant articles from the boards and the committees. And the two main groups you're going to hear from today are going to be the school board as well as the budget committee. So with that said, what I'd like to do is ask the chairs of each of those organizations to come forward and introduce their various groups. I'd first like to recognize Chairman of the school board, Mr. Brian Bork, to introduce the school board as well as staff that are here tonight, today.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. So with us today, first we'll start, I'm just going to go right around. We have Michelle, who's going to be taking our notes, Dr. Jetty, Corius Vicky, excuse me, Vice Chair, Tina, Legal Counsel Diane Garreau, Liz McDonald, member. Rob, member. Tyra Hirschberger, member. Then also with us is Holly Falzone, HR Director. Jason Pelletier, IT Director. Mary Widman, Curriculum Director. Devin Bandersky, Social Services Director. I know Dave Ross was bouncing around here somewhere. And I'd also like to give a shout out to Lauren, who served lunch for us today. And we also have our principals with us today, Dan Mitchell, GMS, Tom Lecklider, LMS, and Bill Larnigan from CHS. And I know that the assistant principal for GMS, Maura Clinton-Jones, is up in the audience over here. So I just want to welcome everyone and say thank you.
And now I'd like to introduce Mr. Andrew Cutter, Chairman of the Litchfield Budget Committee, to introduce the Budget Committee.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Pleasure to speak with everyone again. Good afternoon. I am Andrew Cutter, the Chair of the Budget Committee. To my left, we have Vice Chair Forty. With us today in person, we have Ms. Douglas, we have Mr. John David Sun, we have Mr. Taylor, as well as Mr. Hodgkins. Participating remotely today, we have Mr. Hayes. I know he's tuned in. And then from a town side and town representative, we have Mr. Leary. And on the school side, our rep is Chairman Burke. Thank you.
Thank you. Before we begin, one of the things I am obligated to do is to tell you what the moderator's rules are for today's meeting. Moderator's rules simply means that those are the rules that we will conduct today's meetings under. You, of course, as we go through these, will be able to change those rules, and I'll explain to you how you can do that. Litchfield is operating under what is known as Senate Bill 2 procedures. This means that our goal today is to review, discuss, and amend, if necessary, the warrant articles that are presented by the school board and budget committee for your vote and consideration on Election Day. Election Day, to make sure you know, will be March 9th, 2021, from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. here at the Campbell High School gym, right here. If you wish to vote on those warrant articles, please make sure you come in during that time period. If we make no amendments on these warrant articles, then they will appear on the ballot as you see them today. If we do make amendments on these warrant articles, then they will appear on the ballots as you have amended them. For this deliberative session, the moderator will read each warrant article and recognize the speaker. The moderator will then open the floor for discussion, questions, and proposals for amendments, if any, and if appropriate. If a voter wishes to propose an amendment, he or she must present the moderator with a signed written draft, including their street address. I will then review the amendment for completeness as well as adherence to the state laws. The moderator will read the proposed amendment so that all voters may understand and afterwards seek a second for the motion. If the motion is seconded and moved, I will then recognize the sponsoring voter to present his or her amendment for consideration. It is contrary to the rules of procedure to discuss a motion before it is properly moved and seconded. Index cards are available in the front on the desks that you see over here next to the microphones for your use in making amendments. Note that by state law, amendments will not be in order if they change the primary subject matter of the original warrant, nor can negative motions be made to amend where a no vote would be tallied as a yes vote. We may not have more than one amendment under consideration at any one time. So I'm asking you, please do not propose amendments to amendments. We need to consider each proposed amendment separately. Every effort will be made to give recognition to all wishing to speak. If you want to speak, then you must come up to one of the microphones in the front. Board members, if you're speaking as a board member discussing an article, you may remain up here and use these microphones. If you are offering your own opinion as a board member to an amendment as a citizen, then I ask that you move to one of the floor microphones. When you're speaking, please clearly state your name and street address. This information aids the moderator as well as the clerk, who must take the minutes for these deliberations. Any motions to end debate must be made immediately upon a voter arriving at the microphone after stating your name and address, and is not required to be in writing. The moderator will seek a second to the motion and will then put the question to the voters. If the motion to end debate is successful by gaining a simple majority, the moderator will immediately call for a vote on the question currently under consideration. All those who speak are to keep their remarks pertinent to the motion under consideration and must hold their remarks to no longer than 3 minutes. Personal attacks and profanity are not permitted. All speakers will direct their remarks to me as moderator, and in the case of questions, I will call upon the appropriate person to respond. One follow-up question will be allowed. However, a running discussion is forbidden. It is in the interest of both time and fairness to other speakers who wish to talk. Please try to avoid redundancy. If somebody said something multiple times, adding one more, I feel the same way, isn't going to make a difference. Proper respect and decorum are expected. According to state law, according to the state law, school district meetings are run by what is called Moderator Rules. This means that, as I am doing now, the moderator sets the ground rules for the conduct of the meeting. However, law allows you, the voters, to overturn my rulings by a simple majority vote. My apologies, it's been a long day so far. To overturn the moderator's rulings, a voter may request a point of order overturning the moderator immediately after the moderator rules. The moderator will then recognize the voter who may, if desired, explain his or her point of order. The moderator will then poll the voters, and if the majority agrees with the voter, then the moderator's ruling will be overturned. A motion to adjourn will not be accepted until all warrant articles have been discussed and finalized. A motion to table an article will not be in order unless it is made to table until a specific time and place in today's agenda before the close of this meeting. A motion to reconsider an article after it is closed will not be in order unless there is no other warrant article under consideration. In other words, if you're going to make a motion to reconsider, make it between consideration of warrant articles. And it will not be considered until it is seconded and approved by a simple majority vote. Reconsidered articles must be discussed and closure reached before the end of this meeting. A motion to restrict reconsideration of any or all previous warrants will not be in order unless there is no warrant under consideration. Again, another case of between warrant articles. It must be seconded and approved by a simple majority vote. Only those people who are on the checklist as qualified voters are permitted to vote at any time. If I, as moderator, receive a complaint or notice that a non-voter voting, then I will require that the non-voter leave the auditorium. Voters are asked to sit in the middle section, as I said before, directly in front of the moderator. Non-voters are to sit over in that section, and voters who have no mask are to sit in the far section over there. As you came to the meeting today, the ballot clerks gave each registered voter a sheet of yes or no ballots. These are what you should have received. These are for your use in performing secret ballot votes. Please do not drop them on the floor or leave them behind if you leave before the meeting closes. Please turn them over to the moderator as well as, or to the ballot clerks, or place them on the chairs up here upon leaving. A moderator must conduct a secret yes-no ballot when 5 or more voters make a signed written request to the moderator prior to a voice, hand, standing, or division vote on an article. A moderator must also conduct a recount of a secret ballot immediately after the public announcement of the vote when requested by 5 or more voters who are present, provided that the vote margin is not more than 10% of the total votes cast. The moderator must also conduct a secret yes/no ballot when 7 or more voters challenge any verbal or hand vote immediately after the vote results is declared by the moderator and before any business has begun. This challenge can be made verbally or in writing. Remember, under our Senate Bill 2 town form of government, you have a secret ballot on every warrant article come election day. Approval of all warrant article amendments at deliberative session shall be by simple majority. A voice vote will be the primary method of voting. If the moderator cannot distinguish or clearly understand or determine a majority with a voice vote, then a vote by standing or the raising of hand will be taken. Over the course of the meeting, there may be many opportunities to use acronyms. I ask, however, that the board and committee members who discuss an article refrain from using these acronyms. It is unfair to assume that everyone knows what the acronyms mean. For example, today you may hear reference to the acronym RSA. This term means Revised Statutes Annotated, or simply the New Hampshire state laws. It is your prerogative to permit non-voters to speak at this meeting. It has been customary to allow employees, council, and non-registered voters to speak at these meetings. If it is your wish to continue to do so, signal by saying aye. All those opposed say no. The ayes have it. Now we will begin with the business part of our meeting. Article A, to elect by ballot the following school district officers. School board member, 1 3-year term. Another school board member, an additional another 3-year term. This warrant article, or this article, is not amendable, but you have the option of asking questions. Are there any questions on this article? Hearing none, then this article will appear as written on the ballot of March 9th. Article 1. Shall the Litchfield School District vote to raise and appropriate as an operating budget, not including appropriations by special warrant articles and other appropriations voted separately, the amounts set forth on the budget posted with the warrant or as amended by the vote of the first session of the annual school district meeting for the purpose set forth herein, totaling $23,715,016. Should this article be defeated, the default budget shall be $24,194,824, which is the same as last year with certain adjustments required by previous action of the Litchfield School District or by law. Or the school board may hold one special meeting in accordance with RSA 40:13 Roman 10 and Roman 16 to take up the issues of a revised operating budget only. The estimated tax impact of the operating budget is 60 cents. The estimated tax impact of the default budget is $1.01. It was not recommended by a school board by a vote of 0-5-0. It was recommended by the Budget Committee by a vote of 8-1-0. I will advise you under state law, the wording of this warrant article is not amendable. These are specified in state law. But you may amend the dollar amount appropriated for the operating budget if you desire. I will now recognize for the Budget Committee, speaking to the warrant article, the chairman, Mr. Andrew Cutter.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Once again, please grab a drink.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. As is customary, I'll walk through just a couple of key highlights that summarize this year's Budget Committee process as we went through the budget review and deliberations. The Budget Committee joined the school board in kind of a little bit different of a structure this year in order to streamline and create a little bit more of efficiency with the reviews. to help both the administration as well as the Budget Committee hear firsthand some of the department needs and department asks. The Budget Committee joined the school board review sessions that were held in early November. On November 5th and November 10th, we had an opportunity to participate and to listen in on the various department head requests, which was appreciated, I know, by much of the committee. Ultimately, the general fund budget that was delivered to the Budget Committee, that actually took place on November 12th, and the budget that was delivered to the Budget Committee was $23,126,224. The school board did take some additional actions later in November, on November 18th, by reducing the budget by $30,800, which made the Budget Committee budget at that point, as delivered by the school, $23,095,424. The Budget Committee reviewed the budget in detail, as we typically do. We generally look at it from a tops-down and bottoms-up approach, where some of the committee really likes to go through a very detailed binder or printout of the budget page by page, and it's about 150 or so pages. And that allows the committee to really go line by line, understand each of the asks, really justify the asks within each of the dependent lines, and then we have a conversation and vote on those individual lines as necessary. And then we take a tops-down approach too, where we look at the budget holistically and look at across the various departments and functions within that budget and make sure that there are no additional motions or changes that the Budget Committee felt was necessary. Voting on the school budget occurred in December, on December 3rd as well as December 10th. On December 3rd, the Budget Committee reduced various budget lines by a total of $85,100. On December 17th, $31,500 of the $85,000 was actually restored through additional motions. And then on December 10th, the Budget Committee reduced additional budget lines by $466,218.50. The majority of that, the vast majority of that, was a salaries and benefits attrition reduction, which is customary year over year. The motions on 1217 included, again, the restoration of $31,500 as well as an additional reduction to the salary and benefits line by $50,000. So just to summarize the highlights, the school budget is $22,525,606. This is excluding, various food service budgets and grants that are rolled in. The total Budget Committee reductions that happened to the budget was totaled $569,818.50, which actually represents a slight decrease year over year to the approved budget that is being presented today. Similar on the town side from earlier today, I know Mr. Bohm, during the budget hearing, you had some questions about various revenues. There's a summary here for revenues on the school side that are shown here for tuition, $27,005, catastrophic aid, and various federal grants, etc. And I think with that, I'll turn it back over to the moderator for questions.
I will now call on Brian Bork, who is chairman of the Litchfield School District, to discuss the Article 1.
Good afternoon again. What I'd like to do is just give you some simple numbers and explain to you why the school board voted against this proposed budget 05. Our current budget for 2021 that was approved by the Budget Committee was $520,284. School board presented to the Budget Committee a budget for this year at $24,284,834, a reduction of $240,000 from last year's budget that was approved by them. Within that budget that we presented to them were additional costs of salaries that were held to by contract of $290,464. Retirement, an additional $50,229. And teacher retirement, $343,649. So we presented a budget that was $240,000 more. You take that 684, it's like an additional $400,000 of reductions. And because of that, the school board could not accept the Budget Committee's budget. all set. Thank you.
Okay. Are there any members or voters here today who have questions or wish to make amendments to this warrant article? I'd ask that you please state your name and address.
Carrie Douglas, 9 Pheasant Street. One thing I noticed missing from almost all of the warrant articles are the tax rate impact. So I'm curious as to what the rate impact of the proposed budget as recommended by the Budget Committee and the default budget as recommended by the school board would be. I don't see it unless I'm missing it. Thank you. So my concern is, if these, typically we see the warrant articles in these presentations as we'll see them on the ballot. My concern is, will we see the rate impact on the ballot as it is not currently presented here?
The answer is yes. You will see both the operating budget as well as default budget impact, tax impact on the official ballot on March 9th.
All right, thank you.
Do you have something to add?
Yeah, and just to respond to Mrs. Douglas, the estimated tax impact on Article 1 is 60 cents.
Are there any further questions or proposals for amendment to this warrant article? Hearing none, then, you will see this warrant article appear on the ballot of March 9th as it is submitted by the Budget Committee and School Board. Article number 2. Shall the Litchfield School District vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $86,200 for the purpose of funding the salary and benefit costs for a full-time district-wide technology integrator position to support one-on-one technology education for students and staff. Article note, this district has identified the need for 2 technology integrators. Articles 2 and 3 taken together will fund the school district's needs. The estimated tax impact is 8 cents. This has been recommended by a school board by a vote of 5-0-0. This is also recommended by the Budget Committee by a vote of 6-2-0. I will advise those members of the voters who are here that this article is amendable, and I will now recognize Vice Chairman of the School Board, Christina Harrison, to present this article on behalf of the school board.
Thank you, Mr. Byron. So, technology integrators. First, I want to say that the district is very, very grateful to the past administrators, past school boards, and the community of Litchfield for supporting our efforts to increase technology in the classrooms. We are tasked with preparing our students for 21st century jobs. The children who are in kindergarten, first grade today might have jobs in the future that aren't even invented yet. We have no idea what kind of jobs we're preparing these kids for. And technology integrated into our schools is a tool that we use to make sure that our students are future ready. We've invested over the past decades millions of dollars in devices, in teacher training, in professional development, curriculum resources, and we have made a lot of progress in this area. We are a pretty tech-savvy district. The fact that we are able to accommodate both remote and in-person learners at this point in time is a huge benefit, and that's attributed to our teachers and their hard work, our administrators, and their dedication to making that happen. However, it's become apparent that there is a gap in achievement. Well, there's a gap between our tech IT department and our teachers and staff. While they're all dedicated, they're amazing workers. Simply providing access does not ensure that technology will effectively enhance teaching and learning and result in improved achievement. That is a quote from a New York Times article that was dated in 2012 called Grading the Digital School. The article focused on Mooresville, North Carolina School District that reallocated, they prioritized and reallocated within their budget to revamp the curriculum to be for complete tech integration. They hired tech integrators at each of their schools, and they went one-to-one in 2008. A quote from the superintendent in from Mooresville's graded school district says, this is not about the technology. It's not about the box. For us, it's not about the Chromebooks. It's not about the smart boards. It's not about the projectors. It's not about the curriculum resources. It's about changing the culture of instruction, preparing the students for their future, not our past. So, what is a tech integrator? What am I talking about here? A tech integrator bridges the gap between our dedicated and knowledgeable teachers and staff and our IT department. Our teachers and staff are experts at education. They are experts in the material that they teach, the grade level that they teach. They are experts in progressing the mind, body, and spirit of every student. Our IT department are experts in technology. They are pros, and they know the devices. They are experts in access, in networks, and security, and they have done amazing things for our district. Tech integrator fills in the gaps between our IT department and our teachers and staff, promoting student outcomes. As you can see from my diagram here, the tech integrator is not a teacher or support staff, but they do support students in their ability to develop creative solutions, either one-on-one or in the classroom. They guide teachers in using the most appropriate technology tools for achieving the desired outcome of their lesson. They help create relationships that are useful, meaningful, and purposeful with technology and ingrain technology into the fabric of everything educational. When appropriate, they help teachers incorporate technology in lessons that previously did not contain technology. We know that there's a world of resources out there. Our teachers are tasked with a lot of things, and their time is limited to searching the World Wide Web for just the right tool to teach a concept. A tech integrator can help with that. When appropriate, they also engage with students. So a tech integrator might come into the classroom to help teachers engage the students and to help them see how they can use technology to innovate, discover, and solve problems in new ways. Tech integrators are not IT technicians, but they do provide PD and joint team meetings to educate our teachers further on effective use of technology in the classroom. They help train students and staff on how to use and integrate new technology into the classroom. They help with minor tech support, such as calibrating projectors, help with connecting peripherals and classroom devices, work with technicians on technology issues that occur in the classroom. They find and test appropriate applications and websites for teachers and students to use in the classroom. This is on the ground, on the front line, hands-on support for our teachers and students in the classroom and on the admin level as well. So back to Mooresville Elementary graded school district. By 2012, 4 years later after they implemented the tech integration program, their graduation increased 9%. Standardized tests increased, standardized test scores, proficiency on standardized tests, increased by 15%. All while being 100th of 155 districts in North Carolina for per pupil spending. They did it by prioritizing tech integration and reallocating funds within their budget to do it. That's exactly what the school board seeks to do. We have reallocated funds. We have made tech integrators our top priority for the district. We reduced the budget by the amount that would be needed to fund these. And we have shown fiscal responsibility in doing so. An economist at the University of North Carolina said, "I think what's impressive about Mooresville comes into focus when you think about cost-benefit analysis. They were able to have this increase in achievement, but they were able to do it without spending a lot of money. To me, that's impressive." Thank you.
Are there any questions or proposals for amendment on this warrant article? Please state your name and address.
Good afternoon, William Barrett, 53 Pilgrim Drive. What does PD mean?
Oh, I'm sorry, professional development.
Thank
So that's
you.
the teacher training that we provide to our teachers and staff.
Thank you.
Yep.
Are there any further questions or proposals for amendments to this warrant article? Hearing no further requests, this warrant article will appear as submitted on the March 9th, 2021 ballot. I now would like to call and take a slight break in considering the warrant articles on Mr. Brian Bork, Chairman of the Litchfield School District, to make a presentation.
Thank you again, Mr. Moderator. I just want to take a moment and thank Board Member Rob Myers for the last 3 years of his service. His insight has been very valuable to the board. Rob brings a different perspective. He works in a different school district, and his thinking, everything he added to the school board has been very positive. And again, I just want to thank him for his 3 years. He's helped teach us a lot, and it's nice when you have educators on the school board itself, and especially them from different districts that can give you other insight. So again, I just want to say thank you, Rob.
Thank you, Chairman Bork. I'd now like to go on to Article 3. Article 3, shall the Litchfield School District vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $86,200 for the purpose of funding the salary and benefits costs for a full-time district-wide technology integrator position to support one-to-one technology education for the students and staff. The estimated tax impact of this warrant article will be 8 cents. This is recommended by the school board by a vote of 5-0-0. It is not recommended by the Budget Committee by a tie vote of 4-4-0. I will advise the voters this article is amendable, and I will now call upon Vice Chairwoman Christine Harrison to present the school board position.
So Article 2 and 3 are actually identical. We're asking for 2 full-time tech integrators to work district-wide in each of our 3 schools. So all of the wonderful things I said about tech integrators about Article 2 also apply to Article 3. I do want to talk a little bit about why they are 2 separate warrant articles, and why they are warrant articles and not included in our school budget. Originally, these positions were included in our school budget. As we have prioritized, this is a critical need for our district at this moment in time and into the future. This is not a COVID-only resource. If we are going to continue to educate and prepare our students for those jobs that we don't even know that will exist in the future, we need to weave a culture of tech integration into education. And this is the way to do it. It's not to take anything away from our dedicated teachers in our IT department. They are both amazing and wonderful, but time and capacity is limited. This will be a huge support for both our teachers and students and our IT department. It was recommended by the Budget Committee that we take these positions out of our budget. Reductions in the cost for these positions was deducted from the budget, and they recommended that we put them on a warrant article, as a warrant article to have the voters, to gain voters' approval. We agreed, and so originally we had asked for 3 tech integrators, 1 for each school. We reduced our ask to 2 tech integrators that would work district-wide, and we decided to put them on separate warrant articles simply because every little bit helps. We hope that our voters will support both tech integrator positions because that would be of maximum benefit to the district and to our students. But this way, if you can support one, we'll take what we can get. And Mr. Cutter, did you want to weigh in on the Budget Committee recommendations? Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Harrison.
I recognize
And Mr. Moderator.
Andrew Cutter.
So the Budget Committee, when I presented a few moments ago, we reduced the budget by $569,000. 2 of the positions that were pulled out of that and they're included in the $569,000 fund Article 2 and Article 3. The Budget Committee recommended, per longstanding process in this town, to put new positions as we viewed it to warrant to let the citizens vote. which is exactly the process as the school has followed here. The Budget Committee actually originally voted Article 2 and Article 3 as not recommend by a vote of 4-5. Consistent vote for Article 2 and Article 3. Because there was such a strong position from the school and really the support that was and the need from the school for these IT positions, there was actually a motion by Mr. Sun on the committee to reconsider our votes for Article 2 and Article 3. After a lot of debate and deliberation on Article 2, the committee really started to understand the need for the position, and we actually changed our vote and recommended Article 2 by a vote of 6-0. On Article 3, the identical article for the second IT tech position, again, it failed originally 4-5. Through a remotion or opening of this motion of the article once again, we did revote it, and it actually resulted in a tie vote of 4-4, which will be presented as not recommended. You know, I think for a good, at least half the committee, right, where we saw the need, there was some debate about, you know, from a budget committee perspective, you know, do we actually need 1, 2, or, you know, the original request was 3, what's the right number? Ultimately, it's for the citizens to decide what you feel comfortable with. But I think certainly for one, there is absolutely a need within the district, given the expansion of technology across the various schools, as Ms. Harrison just presented. Hope that helps.
Thank you. Are there any questions or proposals for amendment to warrant Article 3? Please state your name and address.
Janine Engdahl, 43 Tanager Way. Hi. Tina, can you clarify, you touched on it quickly, the amount to pay for these 2 positions has already been taken out of the operating budget, correct?
Correct. We had identified 2 positions that, at the high school, that were no longer a priority. And so the funds from those positions, plus this cost savings from our current tech leads, who are teachers, full-time teachers, who are also providing support for their colleagues and for students in each of their buildings. With a tech integrator in place, those teachers can focus on teaching instead of providing tech support and designing websites and adding things to the district webpage. So with the cost that we are, the funds that we're paying those stipends to teachers and the positions that we decided we no longer need would fund these both of these tech integrated positions.
So I just want to recognize and appreciate that fiscal responsibility that the school took to find these funds, because I know that the school district prioritized this as a top need. I wish that there were 3 of them. It is typical in other districts to have 1 in each school. I'm not quite sure how you share 2 amongst 3 schools, because this is not a tucked away in an office doing research kind of job. This job is an actively in the trenches with the kids and with the teachers kind of a job. And I am a teacher, and I can say that I think maybe only teachers can really understand that panicked feeling of when a new lesson you're trying or a new tool you're trying starts to go wrong, when there's a technical glitch, and that panicked feeling of I'm going to lose control of the class here when I figure this out. To be able to have an expert in the field that can help prepare the teacher ahead of time and make sure this is the most efficient tool and this is the right tool for the age level, it's appropriate, and then be with the teacher and the students to walk through that will give teachers the bravery and courage that they need to use the technology we have in a more efficient and more targeted way that will get a better return in terms of student achievement. I think it'll be a far better return in the investment than sending teachers to professional development. Teachers haven't been trained in all these tools that are out there, and to send them to workshops is great, and it costs the district money, and maybe some of that is retained and applied a couple weeks later when the teacher feels ready to apply it in a lesson. Having someone that can do that in-house will be much more valuable for the teachers. We'll get a much better return on student outcome. Let's see, there was one other point, sorry. So yeah, I just wanted to speak in favor of these tech integrator positions and express that they are not really an office job, but a hands-on deck. I know what I was going to say. Why do we need tech integrators now that we see a light at the end of the tunnel for this pandemic? The need is obvious during the pandemic when we suddenly had to reinvent education to accommodate remote learning. Why is that need still there once we're post-pandemic? And the whole landscape of education and technology and education has changed at a mind-boggling rate. It is dizzying how quickly things changed this last year, and teachers were trying to keep up and figure out what they could use, but there is so much out there now that never existed before that is more efficient in achieving our goals, better tools, better platforms, better resources, digital resources. And so to have a tech integrator kind of sort through that swamp can help make sure that we don't go back to our same comfortable habits, that we take what was good from this pandemic, the creations, the innovations that were fantastic, the silver linings of this, and we use them moving forward because we are preparing these kids for future tech integrated careers. Most career paths include technology in some way. And the kids have been getting some skills, career skills, tech-integrated career skills they've been getting during remote learning that wasn't really happening before. And we saw that when kids started to learn how to write a professional kind of email to their teacher or advocate for themselves through a screen or communicate more effectively through a screen when they hadn't had to do that before. And while we're still going to have many traditional sort of tools, taking the parts that were good and great and continuing to move forward and following how they evolve and how we can use them to the kids' advantage is what we need help with. Very time consuming because this landscape of educational technology is still evolving at a mind-boggling rate. And the teachers could have a whole second full-time job trying to keep up with it. And so I think that these tech integrator positions are essential, and I wish there were 3 of them, but we'll take what we can get. Thank you.
Are there further questions, comments, or proposals for amendment to Article 3? Hearing none, then Article 3 will appear on the ballot of March 9th as it has been written. Article 4. Shall the Litchfield School District vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $100,000 to be added to the Capital Improvement Expendable Trust Fund established in 2020 for the purpose of funding the study, planning, and cost of new construction or renovation of existing facilities in the Litchfield School District. This sum to come from the June 30th unassigned fund balance available for transfer on July 1 of this year, with no amount to be raised from taxation. This amount is consistent with the capital plan adopted by the town of Litchfield in September of 2020. Estimated tax impact is $0. This is recommended by the Litchfield School Board by a vote of 5-0-0, and it is recommended by the Budget Committee by a vote of 7-2-0. I will inform the voters that this warrant article is amendable, and I will now call upon Chairman Brian Bork of the Litchfield School Board to present this article on behalf of the school.
Thank you again, Mr. Moderator. So this expendable fund was set up last year for $60,000. Through the capital planning process for the town, it was listed in the capital plan for $100,000 per year, and that's why we come to you right now with this warrant article for this amount of money. I think we'll all agree that our buildings are our biggest assets here in town. And with that being said, we have a high school that we're sitting in right now that's over 20 years old. You have a middle school that's in dire need of not necessarily a facelift, but a lot of interior work of the components of working with the school. Then we have an elementary school that needs replacement. It's as simple as that. The state has already said they will give us nothing to put into GMS to upgrade the school. So with these monies, it's just a continuation from last year to start the planning, getting plans to present to the state for a new elementary school, but also funds for any type of capital improvements that need to be made. So, that's it.
Thank you very much, Chairman Bork. I will now ask, are there any questions or proposals for amendment to warrant Article 4?
Ralph Boehm, 6 Gibson Drive. Didn't we, a few months ago, vote to put, I can't remember the amount, the money that was given to us last year by the government for capital improvements? Didn't we put that money in this? So why are we adding more money? And how much money do we have already that was added to a few months ago?
Yep. Those are monies from the state, and that's actually in a different fund, correct? Those monies are in a different state, and what you voted for was to allow the school to utilize those monies for improvements.
For these improvements also?
Yep.
Please let Mr. Bork finish before.
Well, again,
I
like
thought he was
said,
finished, I'm sorry.
The need for these funds, as it was established last year, was really for the planning stages of a new GMS, to write up plans to deliver to the state. You have to have plans. You can't just say, listen, we want to build a new school, and here's how it's going to look. So the cost involved with that is great. And also, any type of repairs or renovations that we're thinking about down at LMS are extremely costly. So that $600,000 can be utilized towards that also, but we're talking millions of dollars that's going to be needed.
Are you done?
Yes.
Do you have a follow-up, Mr. Baum? No? Are there any other questions, comments, or proposals for amendment on warrant Article 4? Seeing no request for further action on warrant Article 4, this warrant article will appear as written on your ballots of March 9th. Ladies and gentlemen, we have completed all of our warrant articles for today's deliberative session. I'd like to remind you that voting will occur on these warrant articles, as you have amended or not, on March 9th, 2021, 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. here at the Campbell High School Gymnasium. Is there any other business that needs to come before this meeting? Mr. Cutter.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. We also have a committee member that's no longer going to be with us next year, and I just wanted to take a moment to recognize Mr. Hodgkins for his 3 years served on the committee and his challenge to the budgets. Thank you, Mr. Hodgkins.
Are there any other, ma'am? Thank you. Any other business? Hearing none, then, please remember, turn in your secret ballot sheets, either on the chair here or to the clerk to my right, before you leave. Hearing no further requests for business, at this time I will accept a motion to adjourn. Over here, did you get that? Oh. We have a motion to adjourn. Is there a second? Chairman Bork seconded it. All those in favor of adjourning, please say aye. Opposed? The meeting has now officially closed at 1:52 p.m. Thank you for coming. Please come on March 9th to vote on these articles.